All right, fellas, what's going on? Denonu here, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And in this video here, we're going to be talking about an anime that, well, if I had to take into consideration its new franchise, I would say I'm not a fan of it anymore. But we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball, and specifically Dragon Ball Super. For most of the video. I know normally in these real anime talk videos, I talk about anime I actually like. So this one's going to be a little bit different. So I apologize if I get too emotional. But Dragon Ball, DBZ, whatever you want to call it, the Dragon Ball universe is something that I hold into high regard, as you guys can see, based on my YouTube icon and my, the little caricature I got in the corner of my videos and everything. DBZ was one of those animes I grew up with. I was watching Dragon Ball and DBZ, I would say probably for a long time. It's one of those animes that I think I remember seeing one of the Dragon Ball movies or one of the episodes of the original Dragon Ball before I even knew what anime was. That's how old I'm going back. I'm talking about like early 90s, maybe coming out of the 80s into the 90s. This was well before it got over here. Because I remember the first thing I remember seeing was Goku when he first learned how to do the Kamehameha from Master Roshi in Dragon Ball. And I know it wasn't in DBZ because they never really rehashed that in DBZ, so it has to be Dragon Ball, and this is well before even DBZ kicked off, so Dragon Ball wasn't here yet. It was on like an old VHS tape that I got from a family friend, and I remember checking it out, and I wasn't really hooked then, but then I remember a few years after that, I remember that's when they started playing DBZ on television. It used to come on like Sunday morning at 7 or 7:30 in the morning. This was before it even came to Cartoon Network. This is probably back when Pioneer was doing a lot of the TV anime dubs, and then this is well before even Funimation picked them up. And I think Pioneer did like the Saiyan Saga into I want to say not all the way into the Namek Saga, but probably up until when like Vegeta fought Raccoon, or maybe like a few episodes before that. And then Funimation picked them up. It went on Cartoon Network, and it blew up into the anime we know it is today in the Western world. But Dragon Ball Super, to get back on that, because DBZ I think is fine. DBZ it has its ups and downs. I'm not saying it's I hold it in high regard, but I'm not saying it's like the greatest anime out there. I'm definitely not. I mean, it is what it is. It's a typical superhero-esque type story, good versus bad, good guys versus bad guys. So that's, if you're into that kind of sort of stuff, you'll love it. That's neither here nor there. I'm not talking about the quality of that. Even I would say even GT. I know a lot of people don't like GT, but I've always been somebody who's I pick and choose what I like out of GT. I like some of the fight scenes. I don't like how they tried to mix Dragon Ball elements into it by like making, Goku a kid, things like that. But as far as the core fight scenes when they fight, the different villains of, Dragon Ball GT, I like that. So that was fine. Dragon Ball Super is where things get a little shifty for me. And that's because I guess I'm a fan of what it used to be. And I'm not projecting and being like, oh, Dragon Ball should never change, so that's why I don't like Super. That's not what I'm saying. But to me, Dragon Ball Super is a joke. I don't know why they decided to go with a lot of the changes that they did, but it just feels like it's a parody of its former self. Certain characters don't act the same when you compare to their previous history. The continuity is completely fucked. Art style is all over the place. And I know the older Dragon Ball series had their own issues with art style, but in Super, it's bad. It's like they tried to go super cheap and it shows a hell of a lot in the earlier episodes. They eventually fixed it later on, but those like those early episodes, like 30 and below, they were complete garbage when it came to animation. Spinning out of the whole Frieza movie and then into a show, that's cool. I wasn't a fan of the Frieza movie. What was it called? Resurrection of F. Wasn't a fan of that. Only because I'm tired of seeing Frieza as a bad guy. I mean, they already whooped his ass like what, 3 times? So it's one of those things where it's like you're gonna make a new DBZ movie after like I don't know how many years, and it's like, oh, let's have Goku fight Frieza because that hasn't been done before. It's like, come the fuck on, man. Like if you were gonna do it, I mean, and pick anybody like that, have them fight fucking Broly. You know, make Broly canon. You know, like everybody who's a fan of that movie wanted. You know, it's just I don't know, YouTube. Maybe over in Japan, because I know Frieza over here isn't as like a super popular character like that. I mean, yeah, people probably like him to a certain extent, but it's probably one of those things where maybe over in Japan, maybe he's like an iconic Dragon Ball villain. So maybe that's why, you know, they decided to do that. Because I know they don't make stuff for us over here. They make it for them over there first, and then if we like it over here, okay, they don't go out of their way most of the time to make something specifically for us over here, being the Western audience. Also, and that was the thing about the Resurrection of F movie. The movie wasn't bad. I think it was kind of bullshit as far as the storyline about how Frieza becoming super strong really quick, and in comparison to how Goku and everybody else has gotten stronger since they fought him, back in the Trunks saga, or the Android saga, whatever you want to call it. And I think that was kind of some bullshit. But outside of that, like the fighting was on point, art style was on point, graphics was on point. Gohan, I like how they did Gohan, where it's like, okay, he was far weaker than what he was, but he made up for it with technique. Love that. Got the Super, and it's like all of those pros just became cons. They brought in Beerus from the Super Saiyan God movie, and like the first, I guess, 30 episodes or 25 to 30, something like that, we're just like rehashing the Frieza movie. It's like, come on, man. Why don't you have a regular start for your series? Why are you redoing the same thing you just came out with? This isn't like, oh, Resurrection of F came out like 5 years ago and now we're making a series, so let's get people back up to speed. Like, no, like Resurrection of F came out like last year, or I don't know when it came out, but if I had to give it like a time lapse comparison, let's say last year, and then like the following year, it's like, all right, here's Dragon Ball Super. Here's the whole Resurrection of F storyline in like TV form. It's like, come on, man, bullshit. Like I was saying before, continuity is fucked. Besides the characterization of some of the characters, not all, mostly Vegeta and Goku, they just seem kind of shit versions of themselves, so to speak. Not a lot of growth. All the growth that they had in, let's say, Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball GT kind of went out the window. They made Goku retarded, even more so than what he already was. I know I did like his character from before, where it was, he would act goofy and stuff like that, but when it came down to fighting or saving his friends, family, or the world thing, that's when he got serious. Whereas in Super, it's like he's goofy all the fucking time. It's like it's almost like he was Deadpool in Marvel comic books, and he knows that he's gonna make it out alive, so nothing is threatening him. That's how he acts all the time. It's like, oh yeah, he's super strong fighting these other people, and it's just like there's no threat there, at all. And for me, that kind of ruins the whole point of the show, because that was like, yeah, Goku's gonna win at the end of the day. I mean, if you've seen, DBZ, you know how it goes. He's gonna win, but you have to have those dramatic moments when the bad guy starts to win. And in Super, it's just like they decided for whatever reason not to carry whatever story they're going with, if they have one. Honestly, I've been under the opinion that for probably because I'm not up to date with the series. Let me just say this now. I'm not up to date. I stopped watching it. I've watched all the way up until, I want to say it was a few episodes after, what was the dumbass guy's name? Zamasu or whatever. I'll see if I can put a picture up on the screen here for you. But when they killed Zamasu, that's when I stopped watching it. It was like 2 or 3 episodes after that, I kind of stopped watching it. I remember they were talking about starting another tournament, but I'll get to that later. But that's when I pretty much quit. I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm out. As a long-term fan, I'm sorry. I can't take this bullshit no more. And I'm not somebody who don't get me wrong. I like Dragon Ball, but I'm not going to sit there and watch a show I don't like. I mean, it'd be different. Like if it was something, let's say like Queen's Blade, where it's like, oh yeah, the story could be trash, but guess what? It has a lot of TNA in it. So it's like, all right, well, let me finish this out for scientific reasons, YouTube. But no, Dragon Ball Super, definitely not. Maybe things have changed. I don't believe they have, because I've seen kind of the trailer videos that they've released for the current season, and leading up to the current season. After they did the whole Frieza thing, they jumped right into like, oh, here's this tournament. And you have the side stories of like, okay, Goku wants to be strong in Super Saiyan Blue, so he's training with Beerus and Whis, I think his name is, or Wise, I think that's what his name is. The other guy that hangs with Beerus. And you also got Vegeta, who can somehow turn into Super Saiyan Blue 2 now, and he's, training to catch up to Kakarot and all that stuff. Kind of negating the whole resolution he had at the end of DBZ during the Buu Saga, but they don't really do anything, and they don't really explain anything either. That's something I was talking about before about continuity. Besides the characters, a lot of the fighting and the stories don't make sense. Not necessarily. Well, yeah, I can even say the stories. Like I was saying before, I was under the impression and the opinion that the story, it was so non-linear and non-cohesive that maybe they're just making episodes, and maybe they're not leading into any kind of story. Because up until I want to say the whole future Trunks coming back thing, it felt like one of those animes where it was just like an episode a week kind of sort of thing. Like, yeah, people, the same people showed up, but they didn't do anything leading into a story. It wasn't like, you saw the bad guy planning and stuff and the heroes don't know about it yet. Like, they didn't follow typical storytelling. So it was just like, it wasn't really following any kind of storytelling, or at least in my opinion. But it was just, besides that, the fighting was off. 1 minute it would be like that they would try to be serious, and the next minute it went right back to being goofy and shit. Didn't like that. Power levels were super inconsistent. Goku was supposed to be one of the strongest people in all the multiverse now, I guess, apparently, and yet he's fighting people who are super weaker than him, and where he's not even fighting them in Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue, but yet he's fighting people, and it's that person's whooping his ass. It's hold on, why is he whooping his ass if he's fighting him in a weaker form? Why, Then on top of that, it's just again, and by them taking nothing seriously, I remember during the whole Zamasu fight, Zamasu came back in time as Goku, they called him Goku Black or whatever, fought Goku, and they was whooping each other's ass, and it was every fight scene that they had, and maybe they're changing how they want to do the show, I don't know, but I know in old school DBZ and in all the other ones, when they got into the fighting was, serious. It was good. It was a typical shonen type thing. If you've seen Naruto, Bleach, I can't really compare it to One Piece, but any type of shonen anime fight thing like that, Naruto, Bleach, things like that, long extended fight scenes, big payoffs at the end with the good guy beating the bad guy, right? Super wasn't that way. And if they're trying to be different, I don't mind that. Just tell me a competent story. To me, story is the most important thing. Fighting is I treat it the same way I treat my video games. To me, story has to be there first, because that's what's going to hook me into watching or playing whatever form of entertainment you put out, right? So if that's not there, then then for me, it's like, I don't care about nothing. You know, I'm going to ask myself, well, why am I sitting here playing this? Or why am I sitting here watching this? And then with Super, it was like by them, or at least I think by them not giving a fuck, you know, because they didn't have no ongoing story. It was just kind of, it placated along. Either they were using the older trick of putting out filler episodes until they got the storyline down, either, you know, because they could have been doing that, but they was either had to been doing that, or they just didn't give a fuck. And I personally, like, if you're going to plan something out and make a TV show, then make a TV show. They should already have the first couple storylines or the first couple sagas down pat, just like how they did. Like, you don't put something out without knowing what the storyline is. I mean, that's why you storyboard shit, you know? That's kind of like what you do in that kind of sort of medium. Maybe they just didn't do that. I don't know. Maybe they were just coming or scrambling at the last minute, running behind deadlines. I have no idea, YouTube, but shit was inexcusable. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. Regardless of whatever their reasons were, they shouldn't have started putting the shit out if they couldn't have shit ready. I mean, that's just my little review on it. I mean, if you're going to put something out, then yeah, guess what? It's going to be criticized. And a lot of people criticized Super when it came out because the animation was garbage. Let me say that again. Garbage. It was straight ass, YouTube, in every way, shape, or form. And to get back to the fighting during Zamasu, during that whole thing, it was like, and like I had to catch myself because I was watching it, right? And it was a few episodes going into it where they would come back up. Trunks would fight him. Goku and Vegeta would fight him for a little bit. And after like a few engagements or whatever, I would have to sit back and I had to pause. I paused the episode and was like, wait a minute. Every time they fight, they would fight for 2 minutes and then somebody would get knocked down on the ground and they would stop fighting. And then either somebody else would jump up, fight for 2 minutes, get knocked back down, or get shot with like an energy beam or something and get knocked back down, and somebody else or either they would get back up and continue to fight. But it was like, fight for 2 minutes, stop. Fight for 2 minutes, stop. Fight for 2 minutes, stop. Like every fight scene during that Zamasu thing, I don't know why that is. It's like they couldn't just fucking fight, you know? And even during that, you had Goku and Vegeta making jokes out of each other. They're talking about, oh, who's gonna, you know, they're trying to bet each other who's gonna kill them and things like that. It just wasn't serious at all. Like, it was like, why even fight the dude? You know? And then you had a lot of bullshit in there too. Like, having Trunks come back, that's fine. Okay, he's a popular character. I can see why they're doing that. But I feel like, and maybe this is just me, outside of the... No, I can't even say that. I can't even say that. I was going to say outside of the tournament stuff, but no. It feels like Dragon Ball Super as a whole, it feels like playing a Bungie Halo game. And what I mean by that is, in Halo, you have Halo 1, Bungie's biggest so-called claim to fame. They put out Halo 1, everybody liked it. When you played Halo 2 and Halo 3, it was almost like they tried to recapture the magic of what made the first one good. Oh, here's a Halo ring you land on. Oh, you gotta, you know, take out the Covenant. You gotta take out the Flood. Here's similar type things in all three games to try to take you back to that moment in part one when you first felt that way. And in Dragon Ball Super, now that I'm thinking about it, it feels the same exact way. You have a tournament segment that harkens back to DBZ, which harkens back to Dragon Ball. You know, so it's like you have tournaments. You have, oh, here's this new powered up form. So that harkens back to Super Saiyan. Or any Super Saiyan level, really. But typically probably Super Saiyan 1. And, oh, here's Trunks coming back in time to fight some bad guy, you know. Granted, they changed things around, but it's like they're taking popular elements of, you know, DBZ and Dragon Ball and kind of like putting them in Super, just rehashing them a little bit. That's what it feels like. And I don't know if they changed this with the new... with the new tournament that they got going on, you know, because after the Zamasu thing, they was like, oh, let's start up another tournament. I'm like, you just got finished with a fucking tournament. Like, what the fuck? Oh, that made me so mad. That's why I quit. I just stopped because they were leading into like, oh, now's this other like that other tournament we had, that was some bullshit. Now we're gonna have the real tournament. It's like, no, fuck no. That's when I just stopped watching the YouTube. I was done. I think the last thing I seen of it was the trailer of like the upcoming season. And I remember you had female Broly in there. That's a cool concept, but again, that's like saying fuck you to everybody who wanted Broly canon. You know, I know I was one of those people, so fuck them for that. And then you had I see clips of the bullshit episodes on my Facebook and stuff like that. So you had like the one little Super Saiyan kid that was in the that fought Vegeta in the first little tournament that they had. The one who kind of was like super weak, but somehow was taking it to Vegeta out of nowhere. And when Vegeta was like, you know, all super strong and powered up and everything, which was some bullshit. They're introducing his world and everything. Now they're going Super Saiyan on his planet when everybody on there is super weak. So it would make more sense. And like I said, maybe they change things. Maybe they explain things after I stopped watching it. I have no way of knowing. But to me, Super would have been better. I mean, I could rant about all the dislikes, the things I dislike about Super all day. But I'm not going to. You know, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, Super for me was a huge disappointment. You know, if I was the one making the anime, you know, what I would do is I would either do one of two things. Either it's the same dynamic and problem you have in comic books. When you make a super strong hero, take Superman, for instance, you have to give somebody, or you have to give him somebody to fight. So that somebody has to be on his level. You can't have him fight, let's say, the Joker, and have Superman like, you know, be like, oh man, Superman's gonna fight the Joker. That Joker is gonna kill him. It's like, no, that don't work. No, Superman would kill Joker just as easily as he could kill Batman. You know, so you can't just make your hero like, you know, fight somebody that's like super weak, unless you throw in some kind of MacGuffin in there, some reason as far as why the hero was fighting him, or why, let's say, take like somebody like the Joker. Let's say you put them against each other, but the Joker's kidnapped Lois Lane, and it's like, well, you fight me and I'm gonna kill her, or something like that. You know, something that gets the hero to have to fight him another way versus just punching his head off and killing him. You know, you have to fight him psychologically versus physically. That's what I'm trying to say. You either have to do that, or you have to nerf Superman. That's the only way to really take it. And that's the typically way they do in comic books. Like, if you guys notice, every time Superman fights Batman, you know, as all the Batman fans claim, like, oh, Batman can beat Superman, when he really can't. But if you notice, every time they fight, every single one, there's always kryptonite involved in some kind of way, because you have to either do that or mind control Superman to make it so that Superman is weaker than what he naturally is, because he doesn't want to really kill Batman, so he's going to hold back, you know. So you have to, they always throw some kind of bullshit reason in there to make it seem like, okay, because Superman can easily just pluck Batman's head off and kill him, you know, so they can't do that. So if I was the one making Dragon Ball Super, like what I would do is you would either have to nerf Goku and Vegeta and everybody else some kind of way, or change the game. You know, that's what you got to do. It's either one of those two things. If you wanted to keep everything in line, what I would do was, let's say, because they had the perfect setup, YouTube, they had the perfect setup. When they went to that tournament, they was like, look, here's the multiverse, you know, because that's something comic books do all the time. So you have different characters or different versions of different characters and stuff. Like my friend told me about a DBZ webcomic called Dragon Ball Multi-Universe. I think that was a better way to do it, because they kind of took the comic book route when making the Dragon Ball multiverse, because you had different characters that you knew. Let's say like Goku in our universe, yeah, he was good. But then you got Goku from other universes who was bad, and now they have to interact, and that's a whole different side of fights and stuff that you can see and experience and characters and like that. And that's how they played it off. They had everybody that was, let's say, in Dragon Ball have different variations upon different characters. And also they brought in characters from, let's say, like the Dragon Ball movies into the TV, into the same universe with the characters from the animes, like the Dragon Ball TV show, things like that. So that was a better way of doing it. I would either do something like that, do something similar, where you have the whole Dragon Ball multiverse, but let's say I would change it up. Let's say take it like I'm trying to remember a comic book character who had something similar, but I can't think of their name at the moment. But I would do something like this. In the main Dragon Ball universe, the one that we've been watching for TV, they're super strong. They can go Super Saiyan. They can go Super Saiyan Blue, all of that stuff, right? But let's say when they was like, oh yeah, we're gonna fight this tournament, and let's say Universe 6, and they go to Universe 6. Let's say that universe, by it being different, runs on different physics laws and different rules. So let's say like in Universe 1, in their normal universe, Goku could turn Super Saiyan, and let's say his Super Saiyan would last like a few days if he wasn't fighting or something like that, right? But let's say like in Universe 6, he could hold it for like an hour or something like that. Like let's say like the stamina or energy drain was a little bit different. Or let's say he powered up, and let's say like in Universe 6, you know how like in like DBZ characters can power up. Let's say they power up, right, but nothing happens. They don't get any stronger. They're still going through the motions, but they don't have, or let's say they're powering up, but they're not getting any stronger. Like it does in their universe. Do something like that, and then introduce something else that they can, let's say, they had to get stronger a different kind of way. Kind of like how in comic books where you may take away somebody's powers and now they have to learn how to do something else to get strong enough in order to beat the bad guy. Do something like that. That's what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. Change the game so that, let's say, all the things that you know and recognize about the franchise don't work in this other universe. So now they're stuck here trying to get back or trying to beat a bad guy or whatever. And now they have to learn new techniques or new powers to beat him. And then if you wanted to, you can have them take some of that power back to their universe. So you just don't take away all their shit, when they leave. You don't do them like Samus or how Nintendo does Samus in Metroid games. But I would either do something like that or have them fight somebody who, let's say, like I was saying before about Batman and Superman. Have them fight somebody who was, let's say somebody was like dumb strong, like stronger than Beerus, do something like that. But let's say they had to fight him a different kind of way. Or let's say like, kind of like how they do in comic books, like I was mentioning before. Have them fight somebody who, let's say, they couldn't fight physically. So now you have Goku and Vegeta, all of their lives, they're used to punching their problems, That's just the way it is. Either punching their problems or attacking their enemies physically. Pull out some Naruto shit. Have them fight somebody who could, let's say, control their bodies or use telekinesis, or pull out those weird extra abilities that you saw in Dragon Ball every here and there, but they never really jumped into it because it was all about basically power levels and physical fighting capabilities. Have him fight somebody who was, let's say, like super weak, but he was dumb strong with like telekinesis, and make him on that, let's say, that Jean Grey level of telekinesis where you're affecting molecules, or you're like just under that point. So now he can use his abilities to hold Goku in place or hit Vegeta, or he can fight using that while they're trying to fight him physically, do something like that, or have him just fight up, somebody who was straight up magic. Anything they could do. Let's say they was fight somebody could snap their fingers and, let's say, take away all their power or something like that. Introduce another character a different way, where, their normal abilities don't work. That's what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. And then have your characters grow from there in order to beat the bad guy. So now you have to train them. They have to get stronger, that, you can do all of the normal character story moments that you could normally do in a situation like that, and then have them beat your bad guy and have that be your show. And then you can have them go back to Universe 1 and be like, oh man, that universe was tough. It's like, you wouldn't believe the people we fought there. Do something like that. But I just don't know, YouTube. I mean, I don't know. And it's like, you guys can probably hear it in the sound of my voice. It's like I'm normally like, you know, for these videos, I would be all like super pumped, like, oh gosh, check out this anime, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna recommend Dragon Ball Super. I would say if you've never watched Dragon Ball or DBZ, watch Super. You'll probably enjoy it. I would say treat Dragon Ball Super just like I would say people treat Call of Duty. If you're a new fan of Call of Duty, pick up and play the new games. Same thing with Dragon Ball Super. If you're a new fan, watch all the new shit. You probably won't be mad or won't be disappointed, because you're not gonna know. Ignorance is bliss. But if you're like an old fan of DBZ, or if you was a hardcore fan of DBZ, let me say that, because I've seen videos on Facebook and on YouTube and the comment sections and everything, and it seems like the Dragon Ball community is split. It seems like you have newer fans, and let's say people who may have watched Dragon Ball Z but weren't super hardcore fans of it. They love Super. And then you have people like myself who are like hardcore DBZ fans who don't like Super because of all the fucking changes and, don't like it for, its various reasons and everything. So I'm not going to get on here and just because I'm making a YouTube video trying to get views and all this, I'm not going to just lie and be like, oh yeah, Super's the greatest thing out there. No, fuck Super. Don't watch it. If you're a new fan, check it out. If you're an old fan, watch Naruto, Bleach, or any of the other million shonen anime out there. Don't give Super no more money. I wish they would just cancel and burn that, man. But like the last year, the last couple years, maybe last 2 or 3 years in anime, have been super disheartening to me. Not necessarily with the newer animes that I watched, but a lot of the older ones, like Super, I thought was going to be good. That turned out to be ass. Then they came out with a new Berserk series, continuing on with the older one and where the manga picked up at before. That's fucking garbage because of the animation and the 3D. So it's like, it's like, give me a break. The only thing I'm holding on to, YouTube, and I'm probably going to make this another separate video, is they're coming out with a new Tenchi Muyo type anime. And for me, that's like, that's in my top 5 or 6 animes. So that's the only thing where I'm like, okay, please don't fuck this up, but anyways, guys, let me know how you guys feel about Dragon Ball Super down in the comments below. I mean, if you like it, maybe we can get into a little debate down in the comments. Maybe you can explain why you like it, and I can explain why I don't like it, and maybe we can have a good back and forth and a good conversation. But let me know if you guys want to talk about it down below. My name is Denonu, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.